Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For a while I've been wanting to do this kind of video. As you know, I don't really do monthly TBRs or wrap-ups, but I still wanted to have some kind of monthly content to provide you with, and I thought to do this monthly finds, which is basically where I tell you the latest books on my TBR. I get my book recommendations from BookTube, from Bookstagram, from personal recommendations that are made to me by my friends. Each one of us, if we're on Instagram, we follow different kinds of accounts. We watch different people on BookTube, and even though we're aware of, you know, the usual big releases and things that people are talking about, I'm sure there's always something that you're aware of, a book or an author that you know that I've not heard of and I might be interested in them. So I thought I would give you my November finds, books that I've added to my to be read pile on Goodreads. Originally I wanted to do like a top 10 situation and be very prepared with notes and everything. But you know what? It's December. I am tired. The sun is going down. It's going to be dark very soon. I don't have a lot of time. So I'm just going to open Goodreads and just start talking, and we'll see how far we go. So the first book that I see is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I recently read his book House on the Cerulean Sea, which was very popular, which was a release of 2020, and it was so lovely. It was just so heartwarming. It's I think it's marketed as a middle grade, which it is, but it's so I've already said lovely, charming, endearing. It's a lovely book about a man who is leading this very gray structured life, and for work he's sent on this island by the ocean, which he has never seen but always wanted to experience, and he meets all these magical children, and you know, color is added into his life, and it's absolutely delightful. And so I saw that there's a new book coming out next year, September 2021, Under the Whispering Door. It has a very similar art of the cover, so I'm guessing it's similar in vibe. From what I understand, it's about like a ghost, someone who dies but doesn't want to move on to the afterlife and falls in love with the guardian of the afterlife or something like that. I'm not fully sure, but you know, after reading House of Cerulean Sea, I'm game for anything TJ Klune does. Then I've added A Fatal Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, Murder in Ancient Rome by Emma Southon, and that is the book that I'm currently listening to on Scribd. It is so good. It's like, if you love history and you love true crime, this is the book for you. And it's so funny. The way she tells stories, the way she explains stuff, it's so fun. There are times where she makes fun of all the, you know, the names. There are so many names and they all sound the same. And sometimes she tells, you know, a little story and she says, oh, it's absolutely not connected to what I'm talking about, but it's just, I really like this story. I really wanted to tell you it. She looks at famous murders that were happened in ancient Rome. Of course, there's the story of Julius Caesar, of Claudius, of Tiberius, and then she moves on to look at the laws that were surrounding homicide and what was unlawful, what was lawful, and how the state was handling murder in the society, and then looks at different specific murders that actually occurred that were documented by different people, and it's just absolutely fascinating, and it's so funny. I highly recommend it. Then there are two books that I got from a video that Connie did, where she talks about the books that she read because of other booktubers, so it's kind of like I'm continuing that train and getting those books recommended by her. And one of those is What Matters in Jane Austen, 20 Crucial Puzzles Solved by John Mullen. And it looks at different themes in the Jane Austen novels and sees how they impact the plot, or how it changes the way that we may have perceived certain things. For example, I think the first the first thing that he looks at is age, I think, and that we always picture Mrs. Bennet, or at least in movies, she's always portrayed by women who are in their 50s or 60s, but if you think about it, that the Jane, the oldest child, is like 22, 23, and she probably got married when she was 18 or even younger. She's probably in her early 40s, and how does that change how you see her actions, and do you judge her more or less, and does it explain certain things that she does? And it's all these little things, and I'm so curious to see what other things matter in Jane Austen, especially because I'm looking to slowly but surely start rereading the Jane Austen novels. I read all 6 novels when I was around 14 years old, and I've loved them ever since, but I've not reread any of them. So I'm not promising anything, but I do want to participate in the Persuasion buddy read with Amrita in, I think, January. It's happening in January. But I'm very cautious of actually confirming my participation because we don't know what's going to happen in January. The next book from that video is Romantic Outlaws: The Extraordinary Lives of Mary Wollstonecraft and her daughter Mary Shelley. I don't really know much about this book, only that the booktuber that Connie got this book recommended by loved it so much, and then Connie read it and she thought it was absolutely extraordinary, and I've yet to read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. It is on my TBR for this month, the only book that's on my TBR for this month. So, and I know that there's a movie that will come out about Mary Shelley. I just saw the trailer, so I kind of want to learn more about her life, and it was so highly recommended that I'd love to read this one. Then there's A Light Amongst Shadows by Kelly York. I don't know much about this. What caught my eye is like the list of the subgenres of this book. It said fantasy, paranormal, historical, young adult, LGBT, romance, romance, mystery, horror. I mean, I don't know what this is about, but I want to read it. Okay, it says James Spencer is hardly the typical troubled youth who ends up at Whisperwood School for Boys. Instead of hating the strict schedules and tight oversight by staff, James blossoms, quickly making friends and indulging in his love of writing, while contemplating the merits of sneaking love poems to the elusive and aloof William Esher. The rumors about William's sexuality and opium reliance are prime gossip material amongst the third years, rumors that only further pique James's curiosity to uncover what William is really like beneath all that emotional armor. I mean, I don't really want to read any more of this, but I mean, I'm excited. Then I have 5 Secrets of Story Structure, How to Write a Novel That Stands Out by K.M. Wayland, and I don't really know how to explain this one. I just saw it and I thought I'd read that. Sure. Before You Know It, The Unconscious Reasons We Do What We Do by John A. Barg. If you know anything about me, you know this kind of title just, I have to know what it's about. I do want to know the unconscious reasons we do what we do. I love it. Oh, then I have They Never Learn, which is a new mystery. I think it came out in November. It's a mystery thriller and it's about an English professor, and on Goodreads it says Scarlett Clark is an exceptional English professor, but she's even better at getting away with murder. Every year, she searches for the worst man at Gorman University and plots his well-deserved demise. Thanks to her meticulous planning, she's avoided drawing attention to herself. But as she's preparing for her biggest kill yet, the school starts probing into the growing body count on campus. I mean, what? I want to know what this, I mean, it sounds awesome. I've added some classics that I've been wanting to read for a while, but they're not like new finds, so I'm not going to talk about them. Sins of the Dead by Lynn Anderson. This is also a mystery thriller, and it's set in Scotland. While illegally street racing in the underground tunnels of Glasgow, 4 Harley-Davidson riders make a horrifying discovery: a dead man left in the darkness, hands together on his chest as if peacefully laid to rest. The cause of death is unclear, the only clues being a half glass of red wine and a partially eaten chunk of bread by his side that echo the ancient religious practice of sin eating. What? And this is like part of a series that follows a forensic scientist, Ronna McLeod. And I'm really excited to read a story, a murder mystery that, instead of following like a classic detective, is following a forensic scientist, because I think forensics are absolutely fascinating. I love watching forensic files. There's even like a little inside joke with my sister when that stems from forensic files. I think it's absolutely fascinating. And as you know, I love science, so having a murder mystery plus science involved, it sounds great. Then I added Settled Blood by KJ Charles. This is the 3rd book in the Will Darling Adventures. I read the first 2 books this year, and I really enjoyed the first one. I loved the second one, and I cannot wait for the next installment, because it was so interesting. When I finished the second one for like a week, I really wanted more. Like, I really wanted to read more about the characters. I kept thinking about them, trying to picture them in like everyday life. It's a very like action-packed story, they're always doing something and running away from someone, and I was just like trying to picture them in like very mundane, domestic, everyday life, and I really wanted to hear more about Will and Kim, and I can't wait for Settled Blood. I actually don't know when it's supposed to come out, probably next year sometime. I'm like hyperventilating here. Okay, Cocaine Blues by Carrie Greenwood. I've never heard of Carrie Greenwood, but I've been, hearing Rosie talk about these books on her channel. It's really made me want to pick them up, and only recently I made the connection between what she was talking about and the TV show Miss Fisher. I've never seen the series, but I'm very aware of it. I've seen posters and like trailers and stuff, so I didn't know that was inspired by the books, and now I want to experience it, and Cocaine Blues is the one that I want to start with. Then I have The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life by Erving Goffman. This was recommended to me personally by Amrita during our buddy read discussion of The Stranger by Camus. We just, talked about philosophy and psychology, and she just thought this would be very interesting for me. It says, a notable contribution to our understanding of ourselves. This book explores the realm of human behavior in social situations and the way that we appear to others. Dr. Goffman uses the metaphor of theatrical performance as a framework. Each person in everyday social intercourse presents himself and his activity to others, attempts to guide and control the impressions they form of him, and employs certain techniques in order to sustain his performance, just as an actor presents a character to an audience. I mean, both as to, someone who loves psychology and someone who is, not just an actor, but who loves reading about acting and the theory of it all. This just sounds perfect. Then I have Murder in Old Bombay by Nev March. This is a murder mystery set in 19th century British India. Captain Jim Agnihotri channels his idol Sherlock Holmes you know that I love murder mysteries and I love historical fiction, and if you give me a historical fiction that is a murder mystery, I am there. Also because this is set in India, I'm very used to reading, you know, British murder mysteries and American, though those are a little more rare when it comes to like historical fiction murder mysteries, but I've never read anything that is set in anywhere else really. So I'm very excited to see if this one will be to my liking. Then I have In Their Shoes, Navigating Non-Binary Life by Jamie Windus. I saw this recommended on Bookstagram. This came out in October this year, so it's a very recent release. It says, there is no one way to be non-binary, and that's truthfully one of the best things about it. It's an identity that is yours to shape. I've only read one book that had a central non-binary person, which I'm going to put right here, which was it was lovely. It wasn't like the best book ever, but I really want to see more non-binary characters in literature and in TV shows, and I really wanted to read from a non-binary person about what it's like being non-binary, and therefore I want to read this book. You know, it's all about educating yourself. Then I have two books that I picked up because of the Goodreads Awards. I don't really believe in the Goodreads Awards. It's not really, it's a popularity contest. I think like everyone knows this. But what I like about it is that it sometimes shows me or like points me towards a book that I might not have heard of before. And I got two books out of the that were nominated. I don't know if they're still nominated. There's like different, I don't know. Anyway, the first one is Breath, the New Science of a Lost Art by James Nestor, all about breathing, how to breathe, why we breathe. There's a line that was said in one review of this book that like really hooked me, and they said, I'm now terrified of breathing through my mouth. And I really want to know why. Like I know why, but I really want to read his description of it and how did he make this person terrified. And then the other one is Shit Actually, the definitive 100% objective guide to modern cinema. From what I understand, it's like a collection of reviews of very modern movies, and I'm not too, I don't watch so many movies. I'm not a movie buff. There are a lot of things that I've not watched and some things that I'm not really interested in watching. But I am interested in reading a detailed review, and I like analysis of movies and seeing sort of a broader picture of how this or that story has an impact on society, or like the hidden commentary beneath the things. I don't know, I feel like I want to read this book. And on Goodreads, in the reviews, in like the questions about the book, there is a list of all the movies that she's talking about, and I kind of ideally would want to pick up the book, pick a movie, watch it, and then read that chapter. I don't know if that's how the book is structured, by the way, but I'm guessing that's how it is. So like watch a movie and then read the review, or maybe read and then watch, I don't know. But yeah, because there are some movies that she is talking about that I don't really have any interest in watching. That's not like a movie that, you know, if I have some spare time, I would want to watch. I would want to maybe watch them if I had a more comprehensive understanding of why that movie is like a classic. I'm not gonna tell you the whole thing, but here are some movies that she's talking about: The Fugitive, Love Actually, Forrest Gump, The Notebook, Back to the Future 2, Top Gun, Titanic, The Rock, Jurassic Park, Rush Hour, Reality Bites, Twilight, The Shawshank Redemption, American Pie. These are just some of them, and some of them I have seen. Yeah, I want to see what she says about Twilight, honestly. And the last book that I will mention is The Moonflower Murders. I did not know that there was going to be another book in the Magpie Murders universe that's gonna follow the Susan Ryland, which was the main character in Magpie Murders. I read Magpie Murders like early this year, I think in like spring, and I absolutely adored it. It's so good. It's like a historical Agatha Christie like murder mystery within a bigger murder mystery. I absolutely loved that book and I'm so excited. It's already out and I can't wait to read it. Anyway, these are just some of my November finds. Let me know if you like this idea. It's obviously so dark right now. I've been here for a while. Let me know if you find any of these books interesting that you might be interested to read and also add to a TBR. What books could you recommend to me maybe based on these? And yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video.